Hello and welcome back to Cello from the Beginning. Well, now we're going to learn the entire song of Noël Nouvelet, and of course, as always, the sheet music is linked in the description. So if you haven't already gotten it, you'll want to stop now, pause the video, go ahead and download that, print it out, or put it on your device, and you'll be ready to go. Okay, let's take a look at this music, and let's talk about something that we see right out in the front. So this is a symbol we haven't seen before in our music. This is this 4 at the beginning with the block under it. This is a multi-measure rest. And you'll hear it very obviously when you listen to the backing track. But what that means is 4 measures of you not actually playing. The accompaniment will be playing at this point. So you'll hear that. You'll hear 1, and we'll count it. We're counting, by the way, in cut time. So rather than counting 1, 2, 3, 4 big beats, we're counting 1, 2, 1, 2 big beats at 72. Just to give you some idea of our tempo. That's our finished tempo. So as I'm counting these rest measures, I count 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, play. Right? And there's a piano part here in the accompaniment. This isn't just you sitting in silence for 4 measures. This is an introduction. And it just sounds like this. That's what you're going to hear, except on the piano. So and you hear it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, play. That's how that works. So that is a multi-measure rest. It's written that way because otherwise we would just have 4 measures written out with rests in them, and it takes up a lot of room. And you'll see that we have it again at the end. This is a play out, and it's the same thing. The piano's just playing that out, but you stop. Okay, we have another symbol in here, and here. This is our forward repeat and backward repeat. And there's no first or second ending. We start from the beginning. You play all the way to the second line, the third line, here to the end of measure 21. And then you go back to here, and you play it again, and you finish. So it's just like 2 verses of a song that you're playing or singing. That's all that's happening here. We could have written it out, but again, it takes up less room on the page if we just write it out this way. And then we have a couple of, there's 1 slur in here that we'll get to, and some lifting points where we need to return from 1 down bow back to the frog so we can play another down bow. All right, let me get back out of here and let's get started. So, our opening sequence is one that you have already practiced. Right, that's one you've been. If you've done the introductory video, you know we isolated those notes, and in order to learn the technical string crossing problem that is in there. Let me play through this for you once and hear how much of the piece you've already learned. So it's... All right, that's our first phrase. Now listen to this. That is identical. All right, then we have something different. And then, all right, so it turns out that the first 4 measures of the music that you play are about 75% of this piece. It's because you play it once, you play it again, you play something different for 4 bars, and then you play it again. So once we've learned these opening 4 measures of the cello part, you've learned most of the piece, and the middle section in there is very easy. So, and in fact, you've already learned most of these notes if you've been working on your string crossing. So let's go through this slowly, just with the music, and try it together. So we start on D, A as our first couple notes. 1, 2, and we'll count in 4 for right now because we're going slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. D, A, 1, 4, A, 2, 4, A, 2, 1, D, rest. And we have a lift marked there because I want to come back to down bow. All right, so that I can play my phrase again as a down bow. So let's try that again. 1, 2, ready, play. D, A, 1, 4, A, 2, 4, A, 2, 1, D, lift, and D, A, 1, 4, A, 2, 4, A, 2, 1, D. Here it is again, lift. All right, a couple things to point out here. You can't take too much time on your lift. It's got to be done in the time of the rest, right? So you got to, especially once we start going faster. Lift and play. So you have to be able to land that bow in time to play that open D again. So be careful about that. Sometimes, especially beginning students, take too much time on the lift, and then it's too late. They're behind because the music's going on. So you don't want to go like that, and you're a beat behind or something. So just be careful of that. It's not a big lift. Yeah, adjust my camera here so you can see it a little bit better. And so I'm coming back quite a ways, but I'm not coming way off of the string. And boom. Lift, D. All right. So whatever tempo I'm going at, we just make that that lift in time. And that's really it. You know the notes. It's all string crossing. So one other thing to watch out for here is to make sure our half notes and quarter notes are again in an exact relationship. So those half notes have to take up exactly twice as many beats as the quarters. They can't be vague, right? If we're bum, 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 we've got to stay right on that big beat. Or if we're going slower, bum, 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 A, F, G. A, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Play, right? Everything has to get exactly the right amount of time. It can't be sloppy. We can't, have some things rushing and some things behind. So you practice with your metronome. Like I said, this piece is going to be at 72 for the accompaniment. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, but you can slow that down. 60 would be a good a challenge point once you're ready to move off of quarters beats. So that's 60 to the half note. Right. And then getting from 60 to 72 is not, won't be super difficult. Okay, let's look at the middle section here, since we know this other sequence. So this is measure 13. So after we've played our opening sequence twice, we have these notes. All right, so we're starting. This is all done on the D string with 2, F natural, E, and D. Those are the only notes we have there. We have a half note F, a quarter note E and D slurred, dotted half note E, then quarters E, F, F, E, D, E, and lift. Now let's talk about these dotted half notes in here first. These don't necessarily have to take up the entire marked value. What do I mean by that? Well, so As we're playing, musically speaking, there's a natural kind of phrasing point. I think it would be overstating it to say that it's a half note and a quarter rest. And this is the kind of thing, the kind of detail that we just don't put in music. It would become very, very bothersome. In fact, when composers do it, it's very difficult to read music if they've tried to indicate things out to the to the 32nd or the 64th or something. We can imagine just that if we were singing the lyrics, there might be a breath there, or at least a syllable that we were singing, and I don't know what the lyrics would be at this point in French, but you can hear it might not be. Now, you could certainly play it that way. That was all legato all the way through. That's a musical choice. You could do that. It's not wrong. You can also play it with a little breath. So those are two musical choices. You could even do it one way the first time and one way the second time. That would be something that we would do. We have a little more liberty on string instruments because we're not singing, so we're not bound by syllables, maybe a hard consonant at the end of a syllable. We can actually play a full legato and not have our breath interrupted. So we have some options. So you can try it both ways. You can try it as pure legato in here, as a contrast to the. Which I'm playing a little more detached. So you could play. And hold those notes all the way and connect them, or you can put more like a vocal sound in it. And we go on. So that's just the character of how you can play there. Now let's go back and get our notes and make sure we've got them all. So one more time, right in this middle section, starting on second finger, F on the D string. We'll go slow. 1, 2, ready, and F. 1, D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, D, 1, 2, 3, lift, D. Right, let's go a little faster. 1, 2, ready, and 2, 1, D, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, D, 1, 2, 3, lift, D. It's good to practice to that D, to the next D, even though you're not going on, just so you don't get in the habit of not counting properly through the lift. That's always a little practicing trick that you can do, that I'm really practicing that middle phrase, but by connecting to the first note of the next phrase, I make sure that I'm not doing anything strange in my practice, and that I'm getting on to the next thing. All right, one more time, a little bit faster. 1, 2, ready, and 2, 1, D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, D, 1, 2, 3, lift, D. Okay, that's the two sections. All you have to do is practice them slowly until you can get them faster up into closer to the 72 or at the 72 to the half note tempo. So what I want to do now is play through the cello portion slowly as a reference track. So I won't go all the way at full speed. This will be more like a training track, and I'll say some note names and fingers as I'm playing. So this will be one. Let's see. Why don't we go? That's 54. 1, 2, 3, 4. So not too fast. 1, 2, ready, play. D, A, 1, 4, A, 2, 4, A, 2, 1, D, lift, and D. 2, 4, lift, and 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, lift, D. And of course, you'll repeat. We'll you'll play it twice. I don't need to play it twice as a reference, but you'll when we're performing it, we'll actually do it twice. All right. Now let me give you a cello track that is fully up to speed. So at the 72. So here's our tempo. Bum 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 bum. All right. And I won't say any note names this time. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, and I did it twice so that I could play that middle section different the second time. So I did the more detached way the first time and the legato way the second time. When you can play along with that track without any problems, the section that I just did, you are ready to play with the accompaniment track because you're up to speed. So that'll be the next video, is Noël Nouvelet backing track or play along. And I hope you enjoy playing with it. We'll see you next time.